Lights, camera, action.
In a studio where local filmmakers talk to other filmmakers about the inside world of film.
Cut.
That's not the script. It. We'll fix it in post. Do you wonder how films are produced and what really goes on behind the scenes? Well, stand by. Filmmakers Kevin Mumphrey, Victoria V.A. Jones, and Carson Hype Ferguson explain all the details. Right here on It. We Will Fix It in Post podcast.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Whatever time you are listening, we thank you for doing so. I'm Kevin Mumphrey. This is We Will Fix It in Post with my colleagues Carson Hype Ferguson. How are you?
I'm good.
And Victoria V.A. Jones. What's going on?
Nothing much.
That sounds very promising. So today we have a guest, and she is an author and screenwriter and fellow podcaster, Rachel Belisle. Did I get that right?
Yes, hello.
Oh,
that was perfect.
Thank God. I'm horrible with names, so thank you for joining us.
Of course, I'm happy and excited to be here. I love doing podcasts.
Great. So we're going to start off from the beginning. So what got you into writing?
So when I was younger, I always knew that I wanted to be involved with filmmaking ever since, I kind of realized all the moving parts that go into it and, all that's behind the movie magic. But I soon discovered that being in front of the camera was not my strong suit. So I started to, kind of explore some other things. And one of the things that kind of got me interested in writing was, just the aspect of storytelling, because my dad is a big storyteller. He likes to write short stories and things like that. And at the dinner table, he would always either come up with something or I would have to come up with something. Like somebody would have to come up with a story every single day. And so I got involved with that. That kind of got me involved with creative writing. And I was like, maybe this is something that I can, do for myself, or maybe like turn it into a career. So that's kind of how I got started. And then it just flourished from there.
So were you when you were doing, let's say, English in maybe high school, or like did you excel at English?
Yes, and I was lucky to have a lot of teachers who wanted to get us really involved in writing and creative writing and things like that. So I did excel in English. I didn't always like it just because, depending on who you have or what necessarily you're doing, it might not be the most interesting content all the time. But when I look back on it, so much that I learned, has helped me kind of form my writing style. So I'm really appreciative for it, but, it is what it is.
So like usually when people start writing, they start with, let's say, poetry or little short stories. Was that the same for you?
Poetry is not my strong suit. I, in college, had to take a course on poetry. I really did my best, but it's not where I shine. So I always would, lean more towards short stories, and I would just journal different stories. And I even had a teacher once in I want to say middle school, who every Friday we would, write different short stories. She'd give us a prompt, and then we got a chance to share it in front of the class. And so I'd always, be extremely excited and say, okay, my short story this week's going to be great. She's going to pick me to, read in front of the class. And so whenever I got picked for something like that, I would get so excited. And so that was kind of something that, helped fuel the flames, so to say, for me writing in general and continuing that on.
So, Rachel, I got a question for you.
What is that?
So, actually, I got several. So, the first question is, how do you when you have an idea for a script, like how long does it take you to jot those ideas down and write the script?
So, do you mean like coming up with the whole script in general, or just like...
Yeah, like coming up with the whole script in general.
Coming up with the whole script is an ever moving process. It's always happening because I'm always making changes. So I might come up with a core idea and then, add on to it, like, well, maybe the main character could be involved in this, or maybe this could be like an arc that's involved in the story, or maybe, you're just always building on to it. And sometimes it becomes a struggle where you're adding so many things on that you kind of stray away from that main core idea that you had all along. And so you have to sit and say, am I more attracted to that initial idea that I had, or am I more attracted to, these new things that have come from it, whether the first idea was good or not? Do I think that there's more potential with these new ideas? Or sometimes what will happen is I'll take the old idea and the new idea and split it in half and say, this is still something I want to work on sometime in the future. I'll keep it in mind, but right now I'm going to focus on these ideas, make a whole other script, and come back and maybe do something else with this other idea.
All right, so like when you when you originally write a screenplay, do you write like from beginning to end, or do you write from like where the ending's going to be and then write just kind of backwards?
I one time wrote a script from beginning to end, and I'll tell you, it's so stinking difficult to do that. I know very few people who write a script from beginning to end, unless they have a huge team. And even then, you're working on pieces at a time and pulling them together. I think really when it comes down to it, you're looking at what key elements are in the script. So even if you're looking at novel writing, they'll say, I started this story at chapter 13, and then I jumped to chapter 17, and then I was able to, with these core pivotal moments in the story, this is what's the most important. So I need to focus on these and then find ways that I want to, tie them together. So it's very rare, I feel like, that I or very few other writers that I know will start beginning to end. I think you just kind of focus on the most important things and kind of build on that.
Now, why is it actually so difficult to write from beginning to end? Is it kind of like you get lost within the writing, or like what is the issues with that?
Because some things that happen in the beginning, so much will probably need to change as the story progresses. You may decide, maybe this character needs to die, or maybe this character needs to have some type of character arc within them, which makes sense to you now. But when I wrote, the first couple pages of this a month ago, it doesn't fit well. So now I'm going to have to go back and, remold her character up front. When in fact I could have just, really sat down, written out all my character work, and decided who I wanted her to be from the get-go, write that, and then, decide, okay, now I'll go back to page 1 and kind of set this up to this, pivotal moment. So that's kind of, it just changes too much.
So as far as like character development and all that, do you do that before you start, like name out your characters, who they are and all that? Do you start that before you start writing the script?
Yes, absolutely. So I'll do everything before I even start, before I even get on the computer. I like to put a pen to paper type. That's who I am. And so before I even touch the computer, I sit down and write, decide every character. I get my main characters, and then you need to decide, okay, who's your supporting characters? Who's going to, help the main people do what they need to do? Write them out, and you need backstories for everyone so we can justify in our mind, why are these characters reacting in these ways? Why are they doing what they're doing? And from what they've experienced in their lives, how are they going to help these main characters, and how are these main characters going to react to that? So we're building all that out. We're doing world building ahead of time, and making sure that everything makes sense, basically. So we're writing everything out that the script has to do with. We're writing out our acts. We're writing out different scenes, and just kind of, bullet pointing and outlining those things before you can even start typing out a script.
So it's almost like you build the pieces of the
Mm-hmm.
screenplay,
Mm-hmm.
and then I guess the writing of the screenplay is basically putting all the pieces together.
Exactly. So I got really ambitious the first time I wrote a screenplay, and I was like, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to write this. It was supposed to be a short film for a class, and I was like, I'm just going to write it. And I did that, and it was horrible. It turned out so poorly for good reason. And that's because I didn't I didn't set it up. I didn't plan anything out. I wrote it from beginning to end, which can work. That can be better for a short film. That can be a lot easier just because going back and forth isn't as difficult, but it's still it's not a smart thing to do, especially if you want to yield the best results. But yeah, I'll plan every single thing out.
So when writing a script, some people, as myself, I can visually see what I'm writing down. I know as far as like somebody like Kevin, he's mentioned that he sees pictures, and that's how he becomes, gets the script going. So for yourself, do you visually see it when you're writing it?
Yes, and that's something that I think about so much when I see other people's work, especially when it's extremely inspiring and it's something that just makes you gasp. And I look at it and I think, okay, you couldn't have forced yourself into a creative space to do this. You couldn't have logically come up with this with, points A, B, and C. This is something that comes from the mind of a creative. This is something that you can't just make this. It has to be envisioned. Like, this just has to come to you. So when you're making something really great, it's something that, kind of comes from within. So you kind of see that in your mind and you just kind of let it formulate. And sometimes trying to translate that from your mind to paper can be the most difficult thing because it makes sense to you in your head, but it's so difficult sometimes to make it make sense to the masses or to other people. So
Right.
It can be a challenge, but if you have that talent to where you can come up with something so abstract in your mind and then put it down on paper as a blueprint for people to then understand and film, that's such a talent.
Indeed, it is. Like it's the first script that I wrote was Before the Night Ends, and it took me a good 4 months to write that 10-page script, and like I visually saw it in my head. Like as I was, it's kind of different for everybody else. Because for me,
Right.
as I'm writing a script, I can visually see it. So I start from the beginning, and I go all the way to the end because I already know how the story is going to end because it's already in my head. So as far as like you saying, there's bits and pieces that you'll start off with, and then it makes sense. It does make sense. Yeah.
So when you got your character outline, you got all your pieces together, and you're just getting ready to write. So what is like your process of writing? Because I know the stereotype is writers go to Starbucks to write, or they go to like a cafe or some sort. Is that kind of what's the kind of the setting, a good setting for you as far as writing?
Actually, I guess I am a stereotype. I do go to Starbucks to write because I don't like a very quiet space. I like an open space. I like there to be noise that isn't distracting, if that makes sense. I need something to be going on. So I like a library. I do like a library if I'm really trying to work something out and I'm really trying to figure out what I want to happen in a certain scene, or I'm really trying to dive deep into a character. I might need to concentrate a bit more. So I do like libraries. I do like coffee shops. And I like different co-working spaces or just lounge areas, just spaces where other people are working and maybe there's light conversation going on, because I don't want it to necessarily be quiet. I don't want it to be silent, but I need to be able to concentrate. So I like to be around people because if I'm just like at home chilling by myself, I'm gonna get way too distracted by other things. So I need
you really like that energy and need that energy to kind of draw from.
Exactly. Yeah, I love the energy around, and I love ideally like a lot of windows around. I like natural lighting in as well.
So what is your favorite kind of script to write? As far as comedy, drama, romantic?
So I really wish that I were a better comedy writer. I love comedy so much. I have a comedy podcast. I consume so much comedy content. I love it so much. It is one of the most difficult things to write because everything that's comedic, if you look at like a great comedic film and you look at the screenplay for that, it looks like trash, right? Because what it does, it's like, this is like really someone said, they read this and they said, okay, I'll produce this. Like, this is horrible. But what really comes with it is them knowing, okay, I know that this actor is going to play this character, and I know, like, a lot of it is the delivery. So it's like, okay, if John Mulaney's going to say these lines, I can picture how he's going to say it, and it's going to be hilarious. So you see what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
wish
yeah.
I were better at comedy, but a lot of that falls on the actor.
So
maybe I've written something and it's actually good, and I wouldn't know until someone, funny tries to say it.
so what would you do if what was that, John Voight, if he got a hold of one of your scripts? Or is it just,
I think that sounds about right.
because like I heard a long time ago that dude he as soon as he gets a script he erases all punctuation.
Really?
Not John Voight. It's the dude from King of New York, the one that played Michael White.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they finna look this up.
We are literally looking this up.
Yeah,
Right?
for real.
I've heard of what you're talking about, and I'm not quite sure what the purpose is, but I'm sure it helps him.
I don't know. I don't know if it does.
Because like with comedy, like I'll think of like the movie Friday. And,
right.
Like that probably wasn't Ice Cube's best script, but you get the right comedians or people who are really good at ad-libbing. And sometimes they just kind of the script is usually bare bones. It's just, this is what is happening in this situation. This is what I need you to say. Anything else, if you want to add, is on you. It's usually the best lines in comedies are ad-lib. Like I just heard about the 5 Heartbeats.
Mm-hmm.
When Leon was like, ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis. That was ad-lib.
Yes, some of the most iconic lines are ad-libs, I feel like.
And he said he knew to keep it because the director came to him and said, the actor doesn't like that you're saying that. And he goes, he ain't supposed to like that I'm saying it.
That kind of makes sense though, because even I'll look at some comedy and I'll be like, in my opinion, I don't really think that was in the script. What they just said, there's no way somebody put that in their script.
Unless it's just I was like a Chris Rock, but
not even
I don't even
that.
think he like somebody just really engulfed in comedy. I would think it, but sometimes you can kind of almost like how they say it with such like it smoothly comes out, especially like a Chris Tucker.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of what he does just feels like it's ad-libbed, and it just works.
I can't say 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure these guys, when they do get the role and they get the script, they'll go through the script and they'll look at it and they'll be like, yeah, I wouldn't say that, but I would say it this way. And that's just how they do it.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be natural.
Yeah.
Oh, and the guy's name, by the way, is Christopher Walken.
Christopher, oh
Yes.
yeah.
All like,
I had heard that he did that. I couldn't think of who it was, but I was like, I know what you're talking about.
I was like, man, I'm saying John Voight, but I know that's wrong.
I feel like they get confused for each other a lot, actually.
Nah,
Christopher
probably not.
Walken picked up my script. I would absolutely just pass out on site. You'd have to wake me up when the movie was done.
Yeah, because you need that check. You need to cash that check.
Exactly.
Yeah, you need to cash that check. I'm like, yo, like just like good old Lawrence if he came in. Like you don't cash a check for Larry, but you cash Lawrence's check.
There we go.
Yeah.
So, like before, do you look at like other writers' work as sort of like for motivation or inspiration of sorts?
Yeah, I do. Especially in terms of writing style, because my style right now, it's still kind of changing. I'm still kind of forming it. And each time, I write something, I get a little bit closer and a little bit closer to where I think I want to be. But who knows, how long that's going to take. Who knows where I'm going to end up and what my style ultimately is going to look like. And I feel like there are a lot of great directors out there who don't always, or not directors, writers, directors. There are a lot of great writers out there who don't always write the same, but they're still iconic. And then there are, others who you see one of their films and you're like, oh yeah, this is so and so, I can tell. So it really just depends. So at this point in my journey, I'm trying to think, is this something? Am I trying to, get to a certain point, and what is that? What do I want, my style to kind of look like? So I definitely look to different writers, and I'll look up, examples of different scripts of films that I admire, or films that I'm, kind of gravitating towards. Maybe the style is similar, or something within the genre that I'm working on, and just, kind of draw inspiration from that.
So when you look at like, can you tell? So you're one of your favorite script writers. You don't have to say who it is, but you can tell their work when you'll look at the film, or you'll be like, oh yeah, so and so wrote that. So you can tell, right?
Sometimes, and then sometimes I'll read something and I'll say, oh, this is really good, and then I'll see who wrote it, and I'm like, oh, I wouldn't expect that from them.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think Victoria's probably good as far as seeing styles from like directors. Like they have like little cues or whatnot. Now, is it ideal to have like almost like somewhat of a style, or would you rather be a writer where they go, oh, she wrote that, where it would be kind of hard to kind of figure out which style in which you would write?
I think that ultimately for me, I would like to be someone where my writing style is not necessarily predictable, but so recognizable that when people, see my writing or see a film that I wrote, they're like, oh, this is so-and-so. And because I feel like, and at least for me, if I see someone like, if I see something new and I am watching it and I can tell while I'm watching it, oh, this is so-and-so, and I'm excited about it. I get excited when I can tell, oh, so-and-so wrote this. And if they've got a good reputation behind their name, I'm like, this is going to be great. Like, I feel like now Jordan Peele, for instance, you can tell his new style right away. He was always comedy, and now he's branched out into the past 3 or 4 years, these thrillers, but he's got like this, kind of creepy, old meets new age kind of feel. And you can tell when you're watching something Jordan Peele, even like the people who he gets to direct it, the lighting, the cinema, the photography, the music behind it, everything that he puts into it in conjunction with the writing. It's like, oh my gosh, this is him. This is going to be great. Whether it's great or not, you might trick yourself into thinking it's good, even though it's not, just because this is this person's writing.
Right.
But, which could be an advantage for them.
Right.
So like you mentioned, Jordan Peele, and I guess he does like those psychological thrillers. I guess what you call them. So because I always seem to like stories where at the end you're kind of figuring out the meaning or like a mystery, whereas they kind of put the puzzle together at the end. So does like outlining helps with stuff like that?
It does. It really, so outlining and writing things out ahead of time really helps. If you want to put like a good twist into your story, you almost have to, decide on the twist first and then go backwards from there and say, how can I flip this backwards? How can I kind of disguise this so that as we're leading up to this twist, people don't recognize it, people don't suspect it, and then bam, it hits you. So you almost, if you're going to do something, with a twist, I would say you have to, that's probably, if you're coming up with your idea for your script and you're having a dream and you wake up and you say, oh my goodness, this dream that I had is a great, idea for a script. That's your twist. And everything else that leads up to it, that's something that you're working on.
So
your main idea is that pop.
So what you're saying is no M. Night Shyamalan?
No, what?
What?
M. Night Shyamalan, the dude did Devil, did Signs. All his twists were exactly the same. In like 4 or 5 movies straight.
Right.
Yeah.
Never noticed.
Oh.
I mean that.
That's because I didn't watch all of them.
Man, see, that was a good reference. I feel like I wasted that reference.
You might have did.
Yeah, you might. That was.
It's okay.
Oh my goodness.
Hey.
I know what you're talking about. I haven't experienced it, but I get it from other people's references.
It's in the water, or the birds. It seems like all the movies, like it's the water, or the birds.
Yeah, that's cool, but I like some of his movies, but I'm not a
I actually really like Devil.
Some of those scare me, like literally.
Yeah.
So I can't watch them.
It was weird.
It probably was coming from him.
Signs was creepy.
Signs gave me nightmares. So it's kind of like, yeah, we ain't doing that.
And then didn't he do Sixth Sense too?
That sounds like another movie I didn't watch.
That was wild. That was wild. Like I didn't see that coming.
Sixth Sense was ruined for me because I had never seen it. And then I walked into the room and they go, oh, don't you know he sees dead people? And I was like, what are you talking about? I was going to rewind it and start from the beginning. Now I can't watch it.
Oh, that is such a trash way to talk to somebody about the movie. You like start at the end. Like,
it's horrible.
You know what that reminds me of?
What?
I was watching I Am Legend, obviously the Will Smith version. I was watching I Am Legend. And then my sister walks in the room and she's like, hey, is the dog going to die? And I just look at her and I start looking back at the TV. And she's like, do the zombies eat the dog? And I was like, no, the zombies don't eat the dog. Now leave me alone. I'm trying to watch this movie. She's like, but you've seen it already. I was like, all right. She's like, well, why don't you watch it? Well, I'm like, why don't you watch it? She's like, I don't want to watch it. I'm like, okay. And I just like turn to the screen and I'm quiet. And then she sits down. And then now she's invested in this dog. And then obviously you know what happens. Spoiler alert.
I have a similar kind of story with that movie. And I'm watching and one of my friends come in and go, man, it's crazy to see Will Smith die in a movie, isn't it? Wait, the fuck?
Oh my God.
And then I'm realizing I've never seen Will Smith die in a movie.
Right.
Yeah, because you don't want to kill off the likable character.
Yeah, but I'm like, do I want to see Will Smith die in a movie?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want to see this fucking movie.
Now, if you see the alternate ending, you want to see Will Smith die in that movie.
I got half of it, and I kept thinking in my mind, like, I don't want to see Will Smith die in a movie.
Then watch the alternate ending, and then watch Will Smith die in the movie. You'd be like, yeah, he needs to die.
I can't even.
I promise you, the alternate ending is trash.
And my friend was like, "Oh, I thought you was rewatching this." No, it wasn't.
Man.
You know my rule is when I'm watching a movie, you cannot say anything to me. I don't care if I've seen the movie before. If you're gonna sit next to me and you're gonna watch this movie with me, you are not talking to me because I guarantee
you. know what?
Yeah. Yep. Say what you're gonna say.
I will say I typically don't mind a spoiler unless it is a big twist. Like if I was watching Get Out for the first time and someone was like, wow, I can't believe they stole his brain, I would be like, you know what, you have to go.
You got to say spoiler.
But if I'm watching like
spoiler
Bringing
alert.
Down the House and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, did you get to the part where, whatever they do in Bringing Down the House? I'd be like, oh, no, I haven't, but this is just like some random Queen Latifah movie, so it's fine.
Oh.
Yeah, that's understandable. I get that. That's just like, any regular person who, actor who does that, those regular movies, and
Yeah.
you know exactly what kind of movies they do, and you
Yup.
know exactly how the movie's gonna end.
It's like I know the guy's gonna get the girl in the end. Like you don't even have to tell me. It's about the journey. It's about the journey.
See, with me, I don't like being told anything. Even in those movies, I know it's going to end like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know exactly how they're going to do it. But if you bring it up, now I'm obsessed with the end, and I can't really pay attention to the movie.
See,
It ruins the whole experience for me.
With me, it's different.
I understand.
With me, it's real different because, like, I've actually had a girl break up with me because I've talked during the movie, and it's like I didn't know the ending of the movie. I'm just like, yo, you getting the black experience.
That's how you categorize
say
this.
what?
You ever go into a black predominantly
Listen.
like movie in like
Yeah, and they all talking, and I want to
Yeah.
throw something at all.
Yeah,
of
I
them.
can't stand that. I
Oh
can't
my
watch
goodness.
I'm like in some instances that makes the movie better.
No, it don't.
In
No.
some,
Not for
in,
me.
Okay.
In some, I'm not talking about like psychological thriller. I'm talking about like action movie or something like that where you basically suspend disbelief and it's just John Woo boats blowing up all over the place. Like you got I-24 right here. A boat just blew up and then a helicopter flew in and crashed into that blown up boat. I was like, man, there ain't nothing to think about on that.
Not too.
I will say I hate when people talk in movies, but
Yeah.
or the only time that has been good, when I saw Get Out, I saw it in a theater full of black folks in the middle of nowhere, Alabama. It's the only movie theater in the town, and when I tell you, people didn't talk during the really suspenseful parts. They talked at just the right moment, and everyone in the theater was saying the same things. It just brought so much energy to it, and it made the funnier parts that much more funny. It was probably the best and only experience I will have with people talking in the movie theater. But it was just a bunch of black folks telling him to get out the house and grit his keys. It was amazing, and I'll treasure it forever.
I saw Romeo Must Die in the theaters, and I think my mom was there, and then oh man, people was in the back talking crazy. Man, my man was like, "Yeah, I told you that's what your ass gonna get." It's like, and it's like, ooh, that hurt.
No,
Like Anthony Anderson. There's one dude who said that all the time. It was funny though.
yeah.
Like,
I get that.
It was mad funny.
I get that because I've been in the movie theater, and I think it was, godly, I cannot remember. I think it was one of the Fast and Furious movies that I went to go see.
Oh,
And
it's probably part 20.
Something I forgot which
I've
one it
lost
was, but I went with a whole bunch of black people in the theater. But it was, I'm really not. Fast and Furious is cool, but I'm really not in tune to it. So when I went, the fact that they were talking
Just kind of added to
it
it.
just kind of added to it because those aren't my movies. I like action movies, but Fast and Furious aren't my movies.
It's a little over exaggerated.
Yeah, you can say that. So I didn't mind that, but I also went to the theater to see the James Brown movie.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was in the theater with it, I thought it would be all right because older black people were in the theater with us looking at it. So I'm like, okay, this might not be too bad. But I was wrong. And it was bad. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't really want to go to the theaters no more with a bunch of black people.
It's only good for me if I'm going to a movie and the movie's bad. So I went to see Pootie Tang.
Oh.
And now, you just hearing people in the back going, the fuck is this shit? What the fuck is Chris smoking? Like, so you hear these little comments, and it made it hilarious. So I can remember people commenting on the phone. I just remember when the guy's like moving bullets with his hair, and you just hear, what the fuck? Like, who wrote this shit and said, all right, we gonna shoot this. This shit gonna look great. And you just hear him go, bruh, I'm high, but I ain't this goddamn high. Hey, I'm getting the fuck out of here. So in horrible movies, I love it.
I mean, it makes a difference when you in the theater and you on some drugs. That's a different story right there.
I don't think anybody in the theater watching Pootie Tang was on drugs, but I'm pretty sure they wish they were. Because I remember thinking it was like, man, this kind of sucks. And then start hearing people talk like, oh, good, it's not just me. This is good. This is good. But anyway, so you also recently, I'm gonna get back to you now. You recently wrote the screenplay for a film that VA directed, The Story of Randolph.
Mm-hmm.
So you've took it and you're basically interpreting somebody else's writing and turning it into a screenplay. So what are the challenges in doing that?
Yeah, so it's really, really different with an adaptation because you already have in front of you what the story is supposed to be. So you have to, make that translatable on film. A lot of times when I've seen folks do that, the authors of, the novel, the short story, or what have you, at first aren't always as receptive because a lot of times there are things that don't translate as well on film as do, in a book or on paper. So there are going to have to be a lot of changes. And I think in their minds sometimes it's like, can you just take what I did and format it to a screenplay? It's like, well, no, because either it'll be too long or it won't make sense on screen when it's written like this. So you might have to make changes. And then sometimes you have to, either take out a lot or add a lot so that it translates better on film or so that it meets your time requirements. So it's very different. But it's interesting to have those ideas already out there for you.
Okay, so how long did it take you to write it?
This one, I want to say, how long did it take you? Like a month or two to write it, do a draft, and then us go, okay, this is what I like, this is what I didn't like.
Probably
write
so.
another draft.
They probably did. I
would say about 2 months going back and forth. I think at the beginning, though, when we were doing this project, we were going pretty quickly.
Yeah, it was put together in 6 months.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it wasn't too terribly long.
So
it just depends.
Quick question. So how many times did you go back and forth between not just you and VA, but say the person that originally wrote the piece?
A lot.
Countless times, which is expected. It's different when you have a day job and people are calling.
Yeah, it is.
Which is fine and expected, but we had countless email exchanges, countless phone calls that we're going through, just trying to get everything just right. So especially the situation we were in was unusual just because the person writing it was also producing it. And that's usually not the case. Usually someone will pick it up and the original writer usually doesn't have as much say, which is fine that they did in this occasion. It was just a different situation. So having to adjust to that was different.
It was all first for everybody. That was the big thing. And the big thing was we were all trying to figure out how things would go. We were all trying to figure out how we would put it all together. And it was my first feature length or short feature. I think, it was also everybody else's first. And the fact that we got it done I was very amazed. I'm not even gonna lie. But I am proud of it at the same time.
So I can kind of direct this actually for the both of you. So after it being written and you obviously directing and seeing this whole project that you worked on for months, seeing it on the big screens, how did it feel for the both of you?
Oh, it was amazing. Anything that I ever do, it doesn't matter if it was anything. Seeing something that you put together on a screen in front of in a theater with people watching it and actually enjoying it, it is a feeling that nobody can take away from you.
Would you
It
agree?
is great. Yes, and I was actually so I had taken a video of the screen, when our credits were rolling up and I saw my name on the screen. I was like, it hadn't really hit me until then, and I was like, wow, I can't believe it. I've had stuff in production before, but not, it was maybe in a film festival that was kind of small, or it was small stuff. So having it, on the big screen felt insane to me, and I just got, one of those a year ago today type of things, and that showed
Right,
up, and I was
right,
like, wow,
right.
that was a great moment.
It was a year ago around this time. Yeah.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Doesn't that feel insane? Coronavirus has messed us all up.
You ain't lying.
All of 2020 messed us up.
I say in some ways. In other ways, it got us to like hone down and focus, because there's a bunch of stuff that would have kept me busy.
Yeah.
And I probably would have had a little bit more bread over here, like for this stuff. But it actually some stuff that I kind of been pushing off.
No, I'm all about the bread right now.
Yeah.
So it's
I'm
kind of
definitely-
kind of made my bread go way down.
And I'm like,
I'm poor. I want the bread.
Mm.
okay.
I-
All right, I'm done with the positivity and perspective then.
yeah, I'm not hearing none of
How
that.
about that?
No, but at the same
You
time,
can keep all
So
of that.
Kevin can have his bread.
at the same time, it has slowed everybody down. To be real with you, the plan for myself and for the people around me was for us to network around this time of year. And I'm not just talking about this online stuff. I'm talking about going out, going to festivals, networking. I don't care if we won nothing. I don't care if we are in it or not.
We was about to be out.
We were about to be out there completely. I had a whole plan put together for us to be out there, and it was kind of like everything got shut down.
But but I don't think we'd be talking right now to the lovely sounding Rachel if it wasn't for that.
You mean
like-
will we have this podcast?
Right.
Yeah,
You have a point there.
I don't
You
know.
have a point
I don't
because I was literally trying to figure out something for us to do.
I've honestly probably gotten more rest than I've had in the last 10 years.
So, Rachel, I got another question for you.
What is that?
What is your ultimate goal?
What?
What is the ultimate goal with your script writing?
I just want to make a bunch of money.
I feel you on
That's
that.
what I'm saying.
Nah.
Get
Don't
that
nah.
bread. Get
Don't
that
claim
bread.
that. Claim that. Don't be playing on that. Hey, don't
That
don't
is a big part of it.
don't play.
Like, they got
I
like,
do know. Ultimately, I would like for this to be my career, my only career, my sole career, because I'm just so passionate about filmmaking, and it's just, and in my mind, every time I'm like, well, maybe I'll give up, and maybe I don't think, this is for me, and I see some like a spectacular film, I'm just like, wow, like there's no way I can't, be involved in this. There's no way I can't do this, as a living or for myself. So I'm hanging on there till we got to fake it till we make it.
Exactly. Or it's just, at one point, and everybody has that moment where they just feel like it's not for them. Whatever they're going into, they feel like you'll get that moment to where you're like, this is not for me. Let me just go ahead and throw it in the towel.
Well, only one? Only one? Oh my God.
It's not for me, and let me just try to figure out to go do something else to make some money. But then I know for me, when I do get that way, and when I am about to put my foot through that door of, fuck this, let me go try to make some money somewhere else, something comes along. And it reminds you of, this is what I'm supposed to be doing for this reason right here. And it happens. It happens every single time I say, fuck this shit, I don't want to do this no more. And I'm having a headache, or some shit happened on the set, or something happens where I'm just like, nah, forget this. Something else good will come right behind it and remind you, hey, you're supposed to be doing this. This right here is the hard times. This is teaching you something. This bad experience right here is teaching you something. But that bad experience, it's gonna come back and really get you through.
What does it for me is working in a warehouse. Nothing makes you go, oh no, I don't want to do this shit.
Nah, ain't no lie. Like there's something about back-breaking work
It goes.
that make you like really reevaluate things.
But not even that though. I'm just not talking about a warehouse. I'm talking about basically working a job, a regular job. Because in my opinion, I don't like working for anybody. As far as job wise, I don't care how much money you pay me. I don't want to go in to a job where I have to clock in on your time, take a break on your time, take a vacation on your time. Like, I don't want to do that. That's not for me.
You know, I mean, there's a lot to that too, because it's like, oh, hey, like somebody scrutinizing every little thing that you do. I'm like, yo, man, like I had to go to the bathroom.
Right.
Like you ain't talking to him like that. Why you up on me? I like, man, I do all this stuff. Like, if you don't get my face,
and it's just not that's just not a warehouse job. That is a office job.
People try you, especially in them offices.
That is a customer job where you're dealing with customers.
Now that could, because customers will talk to you any kind of way,
right?
And you think to yourself like, if I saw you outside of this uniform. The tone of your voice would change significantly because I'd have my hands around your neck.
You know, I don't even know if that's the case now, man. Because you got people like just acting up. Like I'm like, who raised you?
Right.
I'm like, you know what? Your daddy didn't spank you. I'ma spank you.
That's when you
like you make that mind shift.
Right.
That's when you see them fuck this job videos. They usually be on World Star.
Yeah.
McDonald's employee just said, I'm gonna just choke her out right here. Or the manager got to pull them two people back. Like, yeah, she decided at this moment this job ain't that important.
Man, I'm about to lose my job. I was like, this is like playing and repeating in the back of your head until you just had that keeping it real goes wrong moment.
Right.
Sometimes it's gone right. Like, I shouldn't have been here any longer than I should have been here already. Yeah.
So, Rachel, I was doing a little Facebook stalking before we had this episode.
Oh, good.
And I noticed you had a picture with Ava DuVernay.
Listen, I'm so mad at myself. I was such a punk back then when I met her. I should have been way more appreciative of that moment. I don't know what I was thinking.
At that time,
gave her to giving me a job.
At that time, what did she have out at that time?
She was about to release Selma.
Okay.
So it was like, I think maybe a month later, Selma came out after that. So, well, actually, Selma might have been out. So this was 2013, like fall of 2013. So either Selma just had come out or it was about to come out.
Okay. When you met her, do you think in your mind were you like memorable? Because you know what I'm saying, you can still try to slide into that production.
I know. And at the time, so I was actually at a film festival, and we had just seen a screening of another film that she had done. And I can't remember the name of it right now. It was some indie film. We were at an indie film festival, but and so at the end of the film, she, spoke and took pictures, and we talked for a little bit, and then she left because she didn't want to be in the middle of nowhere, Alabama anymore. And I respect that. And then I looked back on it, especially once she like blew up shortly after that. I was like, I know her. I met her. I took a picture with her. Why did I not realize I realized how fantastic she was once I saw her film, but I had no idea like then what was happening.
Oh,
That's pretty cool.
I'm a little jealous.
I was just like, oh, this lady's nice. Like, good for her. I hope her films do well.
Because she doesn't have that, like, domineering presence, but...
She, like, definitely has very subtle bad bitch energy.
That is a perfect way to describe her. Subtle bad bitch energy.
Really
I like that.
I've never heard such a thing.
Like, she's not very haughty, or she doesn't put it out in your face. Like, she seems very humble. But like, obviously, don't mess with her.
Of course,
but very, very confident. And that part of that is probably coming from a very good, I guess, other career into where she is now, into the thing that she, wants to do more than her other career,
right?
Because she was good at her other jobs,
right?
But
wait, what was her other job?
She was like a marketing or PR person on set.
Oh,
and
good for her.
And then she got all the information or whatever, like basically behind the scenes and all that stuff.
Yeah, and that's what I think. One of the interviews that she did, she said she used to work on sets because she is from California, and she said she did not like the way that the directors and the producers were handling people behind the scenes
because the energy was wild.
Right.
Yeah.
And she said she just didn't want to be those type of directors. And she said that's one of the missions that she made for herself, was to not be that type of person.
I mean, like I was at a workshop like 5 years ago, and like a very, very popular director that we all know, I will not name it, like was shooting these big blockbuster action films, which I will not name. I want to make sure I put that. And they call that man Satan.
I believe it.
Hey, Satan's on set. Satan's on set.
I believe it.
And I'm like, and then they actually like, they think it's funny whenever they put little gaffes in there that he don't catch. So like little continuity errors and stuff like that. I'm like, yo, y'all making too much money for the door to be closing one shot, opening another shot, and then closing another shot. I mean, back to back to back.
Yeah.
But it shows how horrible you got to be for them to do that.
I mean, like, but it's how you treat everybody.
Yeah, because if you really rock with that person, you gonna make sure they look good.
Right. Well, you gonna make them look good because they're gonna make you look good.
Bingo.
Exactly.
So, before we let you go, you're also a podcaster. So, could you talk to us about your podcast?
Yeah, so my podcast is called Wine Wednesday. It's spelled with an H, like wine, like complain. Haha, play on words. Because it is a podcast where we drink wine and do a wine tasting, but we also, talk about topics. We have our little wine of the day. It's a lighthearted, it's a comedy podcast. And I'll have a guest on, and we'll, talk about the topic of their choice. We got a couple segments. We'll drink some wine, and I record multiple episodes in a row usually. So depending on how far in I am to that will depend on how funny it is. So yeah, so that's Wine Wednesday. It is available on most platforms. I know it's on Spotify, SoundCloud, might be Apple Music. But yeah.
So what is your favorite kind of wine?
Free.
Oh, you say free?
Free.
So that's everything.
That would work.
We can.
We
can send her a
red
bottle.
wine.
So any people with wines out there that need to sponsor another podcast.
Come sponsor.
Yeah.
I'll review it for free.
So,
kind of.
kind of.
Minus the cost of you shipping the wine. Other than that, it's free. Unless you want to give me some money.
So let me reiterate how I should have asked this question. So let's say a guy went to impress a lady with a bottle of wine. What kind of wine would you think would do so?
You know what? I enjoy a nice Frisian because it's classy. It makes me feel good. It's bubbly. I love a sparkling wine. And a lot of people don't know how to pronounce it. So if you can pronounce it for me, because they have a lot of vowels and X's in it. So if you can pronounce that and then give me some, I'm there.
That's kind of the answer I was looking for.
Yeah. Man. Like, so no muscadines?
You know what? I'll say after doing this, I've discovered that a lot of different wines give me a headache, so I got to be really careful and specific.
So
wine giving people headaches, ain't that something?
Yeah.
Drink brown liquor, then.
Absolutely not. I would not.
And cheap wine is good to cook with, but not good to hold a buzz.
No, you put expensive wine in a meal.
Well, you just use cooking wine, you know?
Yeah, cheap. Like I met a chef. He worked in a French restaurant, and my man was like, he's like, yo, the cheaper the better. I mean, because most of the stuff is getting cooked off anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I don't
That's
taste
true.
it though.
So, because I don't know much about wine. So, what is a wine that if someone brought you, it's like it would just be a horrible first impression?
Oh.
I can answer that for you.
By all means, 'cause I know nothing about wine.
Boone's Farm.
Oh God, no, I do know about that. But that's like at the gas station.
Yeah, it's like gas station sushi.
Like I didn't mean that low. Like
That's an episode of Futurama right there.
Look, that's struggle wine.
that's no, that's.
Oh, my God.
I've seen crackheads with that. That's how I know about it. But
Say what?
I didn't. Yeah, that's
We on a whole different episode now.
It's mad cheap.
It's.
I
literally-
feel like for me, Franzia, first of all, that tastes nasty. But any like celebrity specialty wine, I feel like sometimes celebrities get the urge to like own a wine label, which I feel like you want to think is classy, but then it's actually always very horribly nasty. Someone gave me some Snoop Dogg wine, and I wanted to absolutely die. It was the worst. Don't recommend. So yeah, like a wine with like a celebrity's face on it, that's not for me.
At all. I'm not a wine drinker, so I don't even.
So if someone showed up to you with rapper chips and Snoop Dogg's wine.
I'll take some rat snacks. Don't play with the rat snacks.
Like take the snacks and go. Yeah, you gotta go. These are-
Whatever it's called.
Well, Rachel, I want to thank you for taking time out to speak with us today. This is
Well, thank you so much for having me. I've been waiting for this moment, and now it's finally come and gone.
Wow,
Oh.
there you putting us on a pedestal. Then I
Yeah,
don't
we-
know.
we
Wait for
still-
this moment.
No. I like it.
Take it. Yes, take it.
I like it. I will
Grasp
claim. I will
for it.
claim this.
All right, go ahead. We'll let Kirsten claim this.
I'm taking claim of this too.
I'm standing on this pedestal.
That's cool because I work with her all the time, so it ain't nothing for me.
I don't
Y'all
get
welcome. Y'all are welcome.
I don't get on many pedestals, so I'm gonna enjoy this one. So
Take it where you can get it. Seriously.
I
dang,
feel like I'm like 6 foot tall.
I am 6 foot tall, so
No,
I'm telling you,
alright.
it's great.
Let's
It's great.
end this episode because y'all getting way too into this. That compliment
The
went
word.
over y'all head. Y'all know y'all ain't dating.
See, here's the thing. Men don't get compliments that often. Y'all are used to getting complimented. So yes, let us
Cause
have
they all in my DMs.
I bet they are. You know what's in my DMs? The Illuminati. And apparently they got a WhatsApp number.
No. Oh,
So
no.
let me get my compliments, please.
I got some scammers.
Oh, I got all scammers, the Illuminati. The Illuminati loves me for some reason because I got like 8 of them on the request folder.
I mean, I get Illuminati from Instagram. Like they'll try to.
Yeah,
add
I
me.
get that's all of Instagram.
Don't even open that. It's just full of scams and cons and lies and crime. That's it. That's all that
That's
is.
basically what. That's
Crime
basically
and
what
lies.
you just basically said. What men compliments are. Basically.
The occasional. We saw your profile.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And
Yes. Do you want to collab?
Right.
How would you like to make some more money?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, man. Shh.
You want to flip 200 into 2,000? Oh, that's the classic one.
Pyramid.
Listen,
Oh,
robbery and fraud.
that's what we're going to end it off with. Robbery and fraud.
That's what I'm talking about.
I like that. We may just name this robbery and fraud.
No, man.
That seems fair.
This is Fuck It, We'll Fix It in Post, and that is a wrap.